Let's just discuss the elephant in the room for a second, okay? And by elephant, well, it's absolutely huge. This is a €70,000 Toyota. Now, if I still have your interest after that, let's get into the review. Because not a lot of people will need a 7-seater or a car this big. In fact, this car is built in America and is a massively big vehicle for Toyota in America. But isn't it savage that it's even available in Ireland if you want that choice? Take, for example, a Land Cruiser passenger owner. They're going to eat this thing up all day long. They're just going to love it. But I'm going to show you around today this 2.5 petrol hybrid SUV. In America, they'd call this a mid-sized. In Ireland, it's fucking huge. So let's have a little look around it. It's actually a lot more economical than you think. And let's check out the rear space and the boot and how much legroom is in the third row. What's the tech like up front? We're going to look at it all. So hit subscribe and let's get looking. 20-inch alloys sitting on this. You've got the side skirts on this vehicle. And if your vehicle doesn't have it, they can fit them. This is the SAL model of the car, so you still get nice bits of it. It's not the top of the range one, but you'll get keyless on the side. As you can hear it there, trying to figure out. It's like the Angelus. I think it's finished now. But yeah, it gets keyless. I won't touch it anymore. Auto folding mirrors. I like these American style indicators. Everyone's going for white these days and you know, it does look better, but for some reason it just works on this. We got LED lights over the front. The grille is massive. Everything about this car is massive. Let's be honest. And I don't know what you think about the color, navy, darker colors. It shows off the size, but probably more in things like silver. But it's an imposing vehicle. And you know, I'm not over 6 foot, unfortunately. But me standing beside the car might give you an idea of the size. Like if you're going to wash the roof of this, you're going to need a step ladder, or at least stand on these. And then we got these Lexus style rear lights going on around the back. It's a real car that turns heads. Like you're driving along and people are craning the neck. Big shout out as well to Toyota Sandyford. Ask for Ian, tell them I sent you. They give me another Toyota to check out on the channel this morning. Next natural step to check out in the car is the boot. It's an automatic tailgate release, thankfully. This is the area of the boot that's available when you have these two up. Now they're quite easy to flip down. Little catches there. And when you do that, the headrest pops. And they're as easy to pull up. Up you go. And your headrest, and then you can pull it back like that. So there's plenty of adjustment on it. So the boot's massive if you don't need these seats, obviously. And then if you throw down the middle row, it's like a van. Now there's little storage bits for cups and there's a few tethering hooks, but something like the Kia Sorento PHEV has got more going on for rear passengers in the back. They can charge things. They've got their own climate control setting. There's none of that in this. And that car's 20 grand cheaper. And actually, if you'd like to check out my review of the Kia Sorento PHEV, you can watch it up there or at the end of the video. So as a fully grown adult, it is possible to get in here, and with that adjustment that I'm explaining in the back of this seat, it's all right. Even if I close this middle bench in on top of my legs. Now when you have that seat adjusted a little bit forward to give you more leg room in the back, the middle row doesn't have all that much leg room, so something's got to give. It's not really the place adults are going to hang out, but you can do it. Still a bit of head height back here though, and there's vents here to help keep you cool if you are stuck down the back of the Highlander. I think we should all pause for a moment as well to appreciate the leather in here and the colour of it. It's like a light grey. Feels very classy though. In the back in here, there's even more headspace over you. Big dirty halogen bulbs, however. Nobody likes them anymore. Word to the wise there, Toyota. You got a central armrest in here, which got decent cup holders. The angle it sits at is a bit strange. You'd kind of like it a bit more like that. But hey ho. This bench can obviously adjust using the handles on the side. So you can individually adjust this seat or that seat. And again, that adds to leg room in the back. There's two Isofix down here. You'll get climate control and 2 ports for USB charging. There's no heated seats back here. And most cars at this price there'll be a button in the door or in there for some heaty bum action. That sounds a bit weird. I can't tell you, I get very excited about these things, how excited I am to reveal that this has little grooves in the actual boot. And if you have to go to somewhere like IKEA and you've forgotten to take that out, you're not going to be stuck because you can pop it under there. It's so helpful. Really, really helpful. In here, does it feel like you're sitting in something that costs 70 grand? Well, the quality of materials used is really high end. Like, you've got soft leather, stitching is beautiful, little bits of chrome, and this screen in the Sol model isn't the biggest. You can go bigger. I think it needs it. Certainly if you're watching it in different parts of the world, what the display here might say and what the buttons might do are going to be a little bit different. For example, down here we've got a sport, normal and an eco mode, and there's a trail button. But I know in some regions there's like pushy, squishy things. Doesn't matter where you are in one aspect of the vehicle, the heated windscreen wipers, the button is there. And if you are covered in snow and ice, that's going to be very, very helpful. Your charging for your wireless devices down here. Only criticism is I had to take the OtterBox off the phone to make it fit into the tray. And when everything in this car is massive, I was kind of just a little bit shocked by that. If you're not charging your device, by the way, you can just pull that up and plenty of stuff to store down here. It's actually massive. You could lose an arm. It's huge. So Toyotas have CarPlay across the world now. You'll get that. You will have to plug in the cable to do those, not wireless. And this map system, you get it in a Toyota Yaris. So that car costs 20 grand and this is 70. A little bit disappointing in terms of the screen and the display. You would love something a bit more special, and again, I know in certain regions it is. And your displays, there's a combination of digital and coloured needles going on, let you know when you're in charge mode, when you're in eco mode. You get your display for your fuel economy, everything is there. And like all the little tray areas for storing phones and stuff, they're pretty handy like that. The only other bit that's small in here is the glove box. I don't know what that's about, but it is. You can even control your rear climate from a button here if you want that on or off. Your heated seats, obviously. And yeah, it's a nice high up seating position. Tons of visibility out either side of the vehicle. And it's just a like big, huge armrest. You know, it's a real go hard or go home vehicle. And I kind of love it for that. As we often say in Ireland, Jesus, that's some bus. And you just keep coming back to that, driving this thing. Now, it doesn't feel, I suppose, dissimilar in height and everything and width to a Land Cruiser. But as a passenger vehicle goes, certainly in Europe anyway, I know for those of you watching in America, this is only a mid-size. To us, this is a tank. So it's interesting how the sizes of vehicles vary from the US to Europe. But anyway, by our standards in Ireland and the UK, this would be deemed pretty big. You kind of forget that though when you're behind the wheel of it. It's nicely quiet, very insulated from the outside world. I'm doing sort of 9-ish litres per 100 kilometers. Now I'm doing kind of shorter driving. Toyota claim you can achieve 6-ish in it, which for a heavy 7-seater is pretty good. Considering we're pushing just over 240 brake horsepower also, you know, that achievement of 6 really is quite excellent actually. Now, steering is light, even though it is such a big thing. So I suppose to maneuver it is quite easy. Now that camera will definitely help when you're trying to park it. Trying to park it between two lines neatly without someone telling you you don't know how to park, that can be a bit of a challenge. When you do give it some beans, it still has that kind of CVT whine, but it's a bit deeper. Now again, if you're watching this in America, you guys get a V6. I don't want to hear about it, okay? So it is a bit whiny on that front, but you're never really in that space because with the hybrid's battery in it, that instant burst is always there. So you never actually need to floor it. Even if you're accelerating something quite even if you're trying to overtake something quite big and you're accelerating for that, I still don't think you're going to really need to hammer the throttle into the floor at any point, really. This version is obviously four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, so there's plenty of grip into corners, and you can also pull away from traffic lights and junctions in relative silence, also because of the hybrid technology. I'll tell you one thing, it's kind of unusual to have such a sunny morning going on shooting a video in Dublin. So beeping there is lane assist. You'll get blind spot in your side mirrors. If you go for the next version up, the Platinum I think it's called, you're going to get a heads-up display to further add to the driving enjoyment. But even the SAW version still gets a JBL sound system and nice leather seats. It doesn't get air-cooled leather seats, whereas again the next model does. But you do get a heated steering wheel and heated seats also. It's the type of car that I can just imagine is really at home on an American highway, just cruising along with a V6 under you, not a care in the world, and you know the thing's going to drive for 50 years. There's a lot to be said for that. Like, there's no noise over the pillars, the tyre noise even for big wheels, it's grand, nothing too noisy there. And I think if I was a customer looking for that, you know, safe, cocooned feeling in a vehicle that isn't a big rattly diesel, there aren't huge amounts of options. You know, generally people will point towards diesels, but when you can get that pretty decent fuel economy out of it, somewhere between sort of 6 and 8.5 litres per 100 kilometres, it's certainly worth thinking about, because you know, not everyone's going to be doing the mileage to justify diesel, but they'll want this size of vehicle. And certainly in America, you don't even have to factor it in. Sign me up for the V6, baby. Do you know what, the handling of it ain't bad either. Like, I just kind of went through a round of it there faster than you normally would, and the body roll was nothing really to discuss. I'm also conscious of the fact that this is going to be a rarer vehicle. So yes, it's a Toyota, and yes, there's going to be like a CHR or a Yaris beside you in traffic. I do appreciate that point. But as a model vehicle goes, you're going to have something that really ain't that common on the roads. And just because it is a big vehicle, it can still do that slower speed stop-start traffic, because that's when you really can feel very little power needed from the engine, and it's just quietly breezing along. You know, it can do that type of driving. I know if that's your main type of driving, you may not be looking at a vehicle this big, unless of course you've got like 20 kids, then maybe you are. But I'll tell you what, you get people doing double takes in this, maybe again because you just don't see them too often. What's that? Is that a RAV4? Nah, it can't be a RAV4, it's too big. What's that, Land Cruiser? No, it's not a Jeep. Another thing I was thinking, the wind deflectors, they should create extra noise. Now they're Toyota ones, possibly factory fitted, maybe because they're OEM ones, I don't know, but I can't hear them. And they are pretty good if you want to crack a window open a little bit, because they do take some of that sting out of the noise of having a window open. But, you know, you got lovely air conditioning, so why would you bother? And I think if I wanted to own a tank, or I had a load of kids, and I wanted reliability, let's say you're someone who likes to keep a car for 10, 15 years, then the price of the car becomes a little bit less relevant, but at least you know this thing is still going to be going strong, and someone's going to want to buy this off you after those 12 or 15 years. Make no mistake. You see with there, I can just pull away from the lights. You bear, like, it's still in eco mode the whole time, so the hybrid engine is just smoothly carrying us along, and I don't need to floor it at all. And when you drive it like that, that's when you will get that claimed fuel economy from Toyota. Dare I say it, there's even a little bit of feedback through the steering wheel. Yeah, insofar as you can feel it, feel the road surface, but also as soon as you point the vehicle whatever direction you want to go in, it's going. I have to say I'm impressed, but you'd want to be for, you know, €70,000, and if you go for the top spec one in Ireland, that's going to cost you nearly €80,000. You'd be in a Lexus for that. And I suppose that's the biggest thing about this vehicle, apart from the really over safety conscious lane departure. But that is the thing that's always going to be the thorn in this car's side. I can buy a Lexus for the same money. And that's true. So I don't know what to say to that. You might just prefer Toyotas. You know, they're kind of the same family anyway. So look, there's no denying it. It's an absolute beast of a thing. I've no doubt it'll go on and survive for 50 years if you look after it. And it's absolutely not going to be for everybody. But isn't it fantastic that here in Ireland we have vehicles like this that you can buy as an option if you want to? Maybe you've always been curious about the Land Cruiser passenger version. Well, this is something else now with a bit more luxury going on inside, and you know, you're going to be king of the road behind the wheel of this. If I had to drive this for the next 5 years, I'd be totally okay with that. What a car. If you need a 7-seater with that Toyota badge up front, we're finally getting a vehicle that, you know, will sit at home in the States, but we also have the option if you want to buy it here in Ireland, and that can only be a good thing. There's tons of ways to support the channel with PayPal and Patreon, and subscribing. That bit's free. Whatever way you want to do it, it's much appreciated. I'll see you on the next one.